proper to have a session with the reports from the general chairs, the program chairs, and an award session being run by the president of the ISCR. So as first speakers, I would like to ask to the presentation laptop, the general chairs, Leila Batina, who's still enjoying a sip of beer, and Stepan Picek. So your slides are up, and we're looking forward to hearing your report.
Great. So enjoy your dinner and drinks. We just wanted to remind you. We wanted to remind you on how it all went for us.
We can barely hear her on this end.
Is it better now? Yes. Okay. So we kind of also did it last year, but then it was completely different experience. So like it was just screen and us and we thought, okay, we have to really do it again once we are out of this misery with the online conferences and stuff, you know. So this is the moment to kind of look back and say, okay, we were there, but now it's great, right? So how it all started for us, it was 6 years ago. And you know, Stepan is always enthusiastic to organize events. He just loves it. You know, he likes to have people around. He likes to do things in Croatia. We have this summer school that's running for some years, and 2015 was like we had summer school already twice. It all goes well. So he's like, so why don't we do Eurocrypt? And I'm like, yeah, really? Do you know it's a lot of work? I mean, don't believe what they tell you. It's like, yeah, but it's really cool. Okay, so we do what you should do. We contact the ICR president and we say, you know, we would like to organize Eurocrypt Croatia. Oh, great, but we are just all sorted out. So nice try, but next time. Okay, we think, okay, that's it now. So forget about it. But then next year, Stepan comes back because he saw Kenny, and Kenny was in Zagreb on some layoff, and he said, wow, this is a great city. Why don't we have Eurocrypt here? It's just, I mean, he found Stepan, like, let us really like get immediately to action. And we say, yeah, okay, let's try again. But then it was like, no way, because ISCR president then, not Michel, told us, we already have 2 proposals locked. That was Darmstadt and Tel Aviv. So yeah, we're good till 2020. We said, okay, that's it, forget it. So we thought, but then in 2018, ISCR president, not Michel, said, were you asking us to organize Eurocrypt? And we were like, yeah, but it was like a long time ago. We almost forgot about it. Yeah, actually, you could really prepare a proposal this time and present it to us at the next ISCR meeting. Okay, check with Stepan. So it turned out that this meeting was like 3 weeks ahead in Tel Aviv, because then Eurocrypt was in Israel. And we said, yeah, okay, but now we should really do it, because this is first time. We tried twice and now they came back, so let's do it. So we got it. And that was year 2018. We thought, okay, we have 2 years ahead, so plenty of time. And that's how we kind of acted like there is a lot of time. We found this venue quite soon, and we thought this is perfect venue. We have it all sorted out. So yeah, there is nothing on our way. So this is gonna be great. And yeah, so we kind of went on, and then 2020 came.
Okay, so now me for 2020. So end of January somewhere, we were kind of ready, or we were saying we are ready. We even had the banquet fixed, and there was no showstopper for us. We said, yes, now we are everything done. And then we opened registration mid-February, and then we closed registration mid-March, because already that time, Corona started to be quite heavy influence on everything. And then 1 day later, after closing registration, well, we said, yeah, we are canceling the event in Zagreb. And now we have unstable internet. And then, yeah, we said we go virtually, and then you know how it goes. First time virtual conference, you actually don't know how to organize it. There were many EACR Corona committee meetings. And then 2 days before the conference last year, we had almost 1,000 participants and people still registering. And then Kevin said, yeah, we are ready. I will go swimming tomorrow. So it was Very, very interesting experience. And then early 2021, then we said, well, this year we definitely have Eurocrypt in Zagreb this year. And then you know how it goes. First was May, then we moved to October, and you know how it took us some time, while virtual conferences are also great, of course, but we said, well, hopefully this can be a bit different. And finally.
So yeah, we didn't want it in May virtually again, so we pushed it again to October. So here we are. So much better, right? Yeah, maybe one more for the people at home. No, sorry, it's fine. They can also have beers at home. That's almost the same, right? So that was it. So we are happy to be here. And now just some statistics, because people love statistics usually. So we thought, okay, let's give you some stats. So this is Eurocrypt in numbers. We are around 260. So we still have to sort out those people that paid a bit later via bank transfer and so on. So they're not like in the system yet properly. So that's why this number is kind of tentative. Those online registration are still coming in. So that's also like roughly above 500 for sure. Let's see where that stops, because they can, of course, just register anytime still. We had 13 sponsors. That was also just people from last year, like I said in the opening, that had their sponsorships rolling over to this year.
I'm not hearing any audio.
There are 6 items in your gift bag.
No?
No? Doesn't go further.
Okay. What did we do? Very good. We stopped on the...
Yes, I should have gone. So first stats before we get to the gift bag. So this is what it looks like. And you can see it's Eurocrypt, so no surprise, right? Country-wise, also no surprise. So we have France and Germany topping the list, then the Dutch, because we are organizing it, right? Then it's this country of Denmark, of our house, we could say. Then Switzerland also did well, and Austria, and then even USA is not so bad, 14 participants. Yeah, I think that's quite great. Maybe applause for people from the US that actually made it to Croatia. And another great stats is that the number of students is actually higher than the rest. So that's also something we're quite proud of, that we got so many students here, some with stipends, some welcome students. And again, Europe versus the rest, that's all clear. So what's in the bag? Those 6 items, back to that.
Yes, so many people asked, okay, it seems there is a lot of items in the bags, but what are they actually? So we made a list. So you got some chocolate. It's from, the biggest, the chocolate part. The biggest factory for chocolate in Croatia. I think they're quite good. Then you have biscuits with pepper. Then you have cookies with honey. Then you have Litzitar heart. I have no idea how to explain it, but it's just something for decoration. Do not eat it. It's a souvenir, not to eat. Then you have a fridge magnet. Those are made by children with disabilities, so from Split, from the second biggest city. And then you have a postcard made by a local artist. So, you know, a mix of everything. And of course, we hope you like it. For tomorrow, we have gala dinner, so our banquet. This is the place where we will have it. So very important, we do not have gala dinner here. There will be buses. There will be buses taking you to a place and returning you from that place. It's 25 minutes walk. We walked it today, so it's not very far, but there are buses. Sorry? There will be an entertainment program. So there will be a singer singing, Croatian, English, Italian songs. But so I think, and a band, of course, yes.
Okay, that's it.
That's it, yes.
All right, thank you very much.
So it is not it. So time when the buses leave. So since we should start with gala dinner at 7, we will have buses leaving from 6:20 in front of hotel up to 6:45. There will be 5 buses, for every 5-6 minutes. So please try to be on time, because around 5-6 it's crazy rush hour. So we cannot really stay very long here with buses. And now that's it.
All right, thank you very much. And now, next on is FX giving the report from the program chairs. You should just press space and then your slide should be up.
Okay. Thank you. So good evening, everyone. I will say a few words about how we selected the papers together with Anne. So starting with high level.
It's very hard to hear. Can you hold the mic closer, please?
Sorry?
It's very hard to hear you.
Good. So the first one is very classical. We try to build a balanced program based on the best submissions that we received. And for us, it translated essentially into trying to ensure equal standards for all the papers we received. And for example, having the same need of sub-reviewers for all the topics. So in other words, this really means we had to build a program committee that reflects the diversity, and I would say the rich diversity of topics of the ASCR. The second thing, which is maybe a bit less classical, is we wanted to try at least making the review process a bit less adversarial. And by this we mean we wanted to decorrelate the objective and the subjective parts of the reviews. And for example, help interpretation for the authors by making a link between the recommendations of the authors and the different parts of the reviews. So as a typical example, we wanted to avoid that somebody receives a strong reject because of subjective reasons, which we don't find completely fair. So for the first point, for the topic balance, the problem essentially is that the distribution of the topics that we will have, that we will receive at the conference is not known a priori. So we had to make a guess for the PC. Our choice was to rely on the area conferences that we have within ASCR, so CHES, FSC, PKC, RWC, and TCC, and the guess was 10 people for all the conferences and workshops, except at 20 for TCC, because we expected a higher number of theory submissions. The other thing that we tried doing with the limitations of the people who answer positively is to favor the researchers who work on multiple topics, because they obviously help to compensate the errors on our guess, and also to ensure some kind of geographical, age, and gender balance. So that was the a priori. This is what we got a posteriori. So the plots represent the distribution of the submissions in terms of topics. So again, CHES, FSC, PKC, RWC, and TCC. Maybe I will. Okay, so yeah, as expected, we see a higher number of theory submissions, and on the left you have submissions, on the right you have accepted papers. I think the main message here, or what was interesting to us, is that once you have a PC that is able to cover all the topics, you get a program that reflects the submission and the distribution of the submissions quite naturally, I would say, and we really didn't have to intervene much in the decisions. I will come back to that. So the second thing was this idea of making the reviews less adversarial, and the main tool that we used for that purpose is the review form. So we wanted to have a review where the reviewers or sub-reviewers answers the questions consecutively. And a bit simplified, the first question is essentially, is the paper novel and correct, which is something very minimum. If the answer is no at this stage, you get a strong reject. If it's yes, you move to the second question. Second question is the paper understandable? More editorially, I would say, so is the paper containing sufficient details to convince the reviewers? If you get a no there, you have a weak reject. If you get a yes, you move to the third question. And the third question is this more difficult question of whether the paper is deemed important by the reviewers. And there we insisted several times that there's no universal definition of what is an important paper. So that's where having a broad PC was very important. And the only thing that we could do is to rely on this PC. At this stage, if you get a no, it becomes a borderline paper. If you get a yes, you get either accept or weak accept. And among those papers, you can still be accepted or rejected because of competition, which is high. What we hope with that is that somehow it would help reviewers and authors understand or get useful feedback. In particular, if you have strong and weak rejects, you should have useful feedback. And several times we observed that the constructive parts of the reviews, the parts of the reviews that contain recommendations for improving the paper, were related to these first two questions. I would say if you have a paper accepted, obviously you're happy, and then we remain with these papers that are between borderline and maybe accept, and that did not get a slot in the conference, which I will call annoying at the moment, and I will come back to that. Based on that, how we worked was also very sequential. So we had several steps in the reviews. The first one was before the rebuttal, and the idea there was really to identify all the papers for which we were unsure about technical correctness or for which we had questions to help us decide whether they were good enough. At this stage, we tagged all the papers where we had those questions are papers that were critically, for which the rebuttal was critically needed. For all the other papers, at least most of them, we should have added a tag saying that rebuttal was not critically needed. We still allowed authors to answer or to put a rebuttal, but I think it's important to say that in those cases, rebuttal is very rarely useful. So after this step, we worked from the bottom. So the second step was to try identify all the papers that we had to reject because of what we call objective reasons, so reasons related to the first two questions. Either the paper was incorrect or not novel, or we had serious problems in terms of editorial quality. And then finally, the last step was moving from the top. So at this stage, we really try to make an iterative acceptance of piles of 25 papers. Briefly, we never made any global vote, but we asked approval of the PC after every selection of 25 papers, more or less. We try to use discussion and consensus much more than grades, which at some point in the discussion are not so reflective anymore. And I would say for the first 50 papers, there was really no doubt. They came directly with good balance and no discussion. The last 25 papers, they are difficult because you have so much competition and papers with pros and cons and so on. So the only thing that we did at this stage was to say to the PC again, we have no universal definition of what is good, but try to look at program balance, try to make everybody happy to attend the conference, and maybe also look at your individual acceptance rate, because it's clear that some people are more gentle or severe than others, and this is to be taken into account. Our conclusions essentially is we think this review form and process was useful to make the reviews less adversarial. We had at least feedback in this direction, and that's also something we observed. I would say this is when reviewers followed the review form, which was unfortunately not always the case. One side effect that we didn't anticipate at all is that this fact that comments were somehow more positive made more authors think that their paper would be accepted, and some were even more disappointed afterwards. So that's something we should have communicated better about. And in the end, it's true, their paper could have been accepted. So maybe we should update better the reviews after the decisions, but this is where the time is usually missing. And coming back to these annoying papers, we wanted to show this statistic, which is quite interesting, I think. So here in green, you have the accepted papers. In blue, the papers that we rejected for what we call objective reasons, so questions 1 and 2. And in orange, you have all the papers rejected for subjective reasons. So the short summary is that we could have doubled the program size, still following the comments of the PC and accepting papers that were deemed good enough for Eurocrypt. So how to deal with that is, I guess, an interesting question for the community. And last but not least, we wanted to say a huge thank you to all the people who helped us, which means authors, PC members, area chairs, sub-reviewers, organizers. And I think we would like to say especially the PC, even if the process remains imperfect and probably will always remain imperfect, it's extremely impressive to see all this PC working. We were, I think, amazed by that and very happy with the results. So thank you again, and we hope you enjoyed the program as much as we did. Thank you.
Thank you very much, FX. And next on is the president of the IACR, Michel Abdallah. And just in case that you submitted slides to the Rump session and wanted to change them last minute, so did Michel, and we did also not make an exception for Michel. So you see, it's same rights for everyone here. You should just press space and your slides should be up, some version of your slides.
Wrong. Hello. Welcome to the award ceremony of Eurocrypt 2021. For me, I'm quite happy to be able to participate in person. It was doubtful at one moment, but I'm really glad that we were able to actually have this ceremony with and actually to have a very large number of attendees here in person. So I'm very glad for that. And thank you, Stefan and Leila, for all the effort. So first, would like to recall some of the new fellows that were inducted this year for IACR. First, if you're not familiar with the IACR Fellows Program, the goal of this program is to recognize outstanding IACR members for their technical and professional contributions, in particular that advance the science of cryptology and related fields, that promote the free exchange of ideas about crypto and related fields, and develop and maintain the professional skills and integrity of individuals in the cryptologic community, and finally to advance the standing of the cryptologic community in the wider scientific and technical world. So this year we had 5 new fellows that were selected by the fellow selection committee, and the committee this year was presided by Ronald Kramer from CWI and Leiden University. And the other members were Kwanjo Kim, Anna Lizinskaya, Daniele Michancho, and Kenny Patterson. So the 5 new fellows that were selected this year was the first one, Craig Gentry, as you know, who also was the invited speaker for this conference. Yuda Lindell, Joseph Pipchik, Leonid Reisen, and Ingrid Weberwed. So let me just briefly recall the reason they were selected. So Craig, in particular, was elected fellow for breakthrough research on fully homomorphic encryption and other fundamental contributions to cryptography. So Yuda Lindell for fundamental contributions to theory and practice of secure multi-party computation, for sustained educational leadership, and for service to the ICR. This is the name that I always get stuck with. Joseph Piepchik. Piepchik. So, thank you, Stefan. For significant contributions to design and analysis of crypto systems, and for exceptional service to the ICR and the Asia Pacific cryptographic community. And Leonid Reason for fundamental contributions to theory and practice of cryptography and for service to the ICR. So, and last, Ingrid Webawet for pioneering and sustained contributions to cryptographic hardware and embedded systems and for service to the ICR. So I would like now for a round of applause for all the new fellows. And it is like, unfortunately, none of them could be present this time, but the hope is that in a future event, we will be able to handle them a plaque in person. And hopefully that will happen next year. So in addition to that, I would like to mention also the Test of Time Award. For the slides were supposed to be there, but so as you know, the Test of Time Award recognizes papers with that had a lasting impact in the field, and usually for the general conferences, meaning Eurocrypt, AsiaCrypt, and crypto, the selection process chooses papers that are awarded. Papers that were published 15 years prior. So for this year, the papers that we were selected were papers that were published at AsiaCrypt, Eurocrypt, and Crypto 2006. And the award winners for Eurocrypt Test of Time Award was Phil Rogway and Thomas Ristenpart. And I will be mentioning them again tomorrow at the membership meeting. So please, if you can attend, it would be great. But I would like to take this opportunity to thank them for this award and for the recognition that their paper had. So for those who are not familiar with their work, the paper is on a proof of security treatment of the key wrap problem. So both Phil and Thomas could not participate today, so they apologize for that. But we hope that they might be able to join tomorrow. So I also would like for a round of applause for them. So Anna changed a bit the program. So I will pass it on to Anna at the end of my presentation. So now I would like to proceed with some acknowledgements. First, Anne, if you would like to come here, I would like to provide a certificate of appreciation to Anne Canto. Yeah, here it is. So the plaque reads the certificate of appreciation for Anne Canto in recognition of her contribution to the International Association for Cryptologic Research and the field of cryptology research through the role of program chair of Eurocrypt 2021.
Thank you.
Would you like to say?
Well, I fixed already told that, but I would like to thank really all the authors and the program committee, because it's really a lot of work to handle this 400 submissions, and they did it very well. So thanks a lot to all of them.
So in addition to the plaque, Peter also organized some nice local drink.
Some explanations will follow later, but you already take this with you and then enjoy it, hopefully.
All right. So next, François Xavier. So I would like to give you this plaque, which reads, there's a certificate of appreciation to François Xavier Standard in recognition for his contribution to the IACR in the field of cryptologic research through the role of program chair of Eurocrypt 2021. Thank you. So wait. And also he gets a bottle. So next, I would like to, sorry, I have to improve this process here. Let's optimize. So next, I would like to give this plaque to Leila Batina in recognition of her contribution to the IACR in the field of cryptology research through the role of General Chair of Eurocrypt 2021. For her too. Sorry, don't forget the drink. Finally, I would like to call Stefan Pichek in recognition to give him the final plaque, in recognition to his contribution to the ACR and the field of cryptology research through the role of General Chair of Eurocrypt 2021. Thank you so much. Yes, and the alcohol, of course. Finally, I would like to call Anne and François Xavier because they will also hand out the plaques for the Best Paper Awards.
So thanks, Michel. So we had 3 best papers this year at Eurocrypt. So the first one is the paper Non-Interactive Zero Knowledge from Sub-Exponential DDH by Abhishek Jain and Zhengzhong Jin, but they are not here. So we will send them a virtual plaque, I guess, for the best paper. Ooh. The second best paper is by Fabrice Benamouda, Tancred Lepoint, Julian Moss, Mikade Oru, and Mariana Raekova. It's a paper entitled On the Insecurity of ROS, and I guess Julian is around, or? And the third one is a paper entitled New Representations of the ASK Schedule by Gaëtan Laurent and Clara Pernot, and both of them are here. Peter?
So Michelle still has one more slide.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for updating the picture.
Yeah.
This was not, I would not dare to do this myself. No, but in addition to, like, I would like to take this opportunity to thank first also the Rump session chairs for their great work. And well, you still have a lot to go, and let's see how it at the end, if how things will go. They'll evaluate. And also everybody who was involved in the organization of this conference, because as I said, it has been a bit challenging this last few years, the last year and this year, to deal with COVID and all the uncertainty. And it wasn't clear at all, even when we decided to postpone the conference to October to hopefully hold it in person, that this would take place. And then once it looked like it would work, making it happen, it was also not clear how we would handle half of the speakers being online and half of the speakers being here. So together, Kevin, Kay have worked a lot with this, with the help of also Stepan and Leila, to make it work, to come here to test the system. So of course, not everything works perfectly, but I think things have been going really well, and I'm really impressed with all the final result. Of course, we can always hope to improve the next version, and your feedback is always welcome. And we hope to actually ask for your feedback later. But yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Kevin, Kay, Stefan, and Leila for this amazing work. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, and Kevin, we just kind of had to put that picture from your website to good use. So this brings us to the Rump session proper, where the slides won't come up. Wait. It's actually not easy to handle this while holding the microphone. Share screen, and here we are. All right. So this brings us to the Rump session proper. And I must say, it's actually absolutely amazing to be in a room again with that many cryptographers after pretty much 2 years. And what's even more amazing is to see so many new faces that I haven't seen before at conferences. So I was wondering, how many people here are actually attending at the moment the first in-person crypto conference in their life? Could you maybe raise your hands? I think this is a very, very impressive raise of hands here. I think this is actually worth a round of applause. I also figured, because there's so many people that haven't been attending a crypto conference before, there's equally many people who haven't attended a proper Rump session before. So we felt like we should maybe give you a bit of an introduction to what a Rump session is, and what would be better than a bit of a historic perspective to just, give you the background. When I first heard the word Rump session, I thought, okay, you can Google this, right? And you Google the word, well, you know what a session is, right? But you Google the word Rump, and well, basically what comes up is kind of this picture, which gives you an idea of what a Rump session is about. It's sort of about the behind, right? So, which makes sense because it's always at the end of a conference day. But it also makes sense in a different sense, because the Rump sessions are very closely related to the concept of cryptology. And cryptology is defined as relating to cryptography and incorporating results that fall into one or several of the following categories. It's funny, it's controversial, or it's crap. This is not my definition. This is the definition of the seminal journal in its field, the Journal of Cryptology. If you don't know of this journal, you find the website of it. And no, it's not a mistake that there is an S missing behind the HTTP. It is, after all, about cryptology. Now, why is this important for you to know as young cryptographers entering this field? Well, at some point after you've successfully obtained your PhD, you will be applying for jobs. And well, first maybe for a postdoc position and then for a faculty position. And at the moment, you may have this impression that there is a selection committee sitting there, hiring committee, and that you will be evaluated based on your accomplishments in the field of cryptology. It's maybe true if it's not an expert hiring committee. However, if you have a truly expert hiring committee, they will be evaluating you purely on your achievements in the field of cryptology. Well, that's at least how I believe I got my job. Now, what are these achievements in the field of cryptology? The most important one, the off-the-plane achievement, is you give your first Rump session talk. If you're not giving your first Rump session talk today, you should do that at the next event that features a Rump session. There is the golden voice achievement. It's next level. You sing or you play a song in a Rump session. And if you need some good examples of how that worked out in the past, there's a website collecting those at rump.cr.wp.to/music.html. The serious fun achievement is to win the best Rump session presentation award. Then, of course, the real deal, an accepted paper in the Journal of Cryptology. You would think it ends there, but no. The soliciting award is an invited paper in the Journal of Cryptology. It's actually highly related to the serious fun, because you may receive an email from the editor-in-chief asking you to submit a paper to the Journal of Cryptology. Finally, the full circle achievement. Have a J-Crypto paper and have it cited in a paper at a crypto conference. Now, back to the Rump sessions. What is our role as Rump session chairs? Well, you may be used to this scientific evaluation process of submissions. Rump sessions are nothing like this. It's just pure dictator rule here. We just receive submissions. We do with them, however, whatever we please to do. There is, however, one extremely important responsibility of Rump session chairs. It's the following. Sometimes you receive submissions where somebody just thought that their paper should have been accepted at the conference, but it was rejected. So they submit the talk that they were planning to give and just think, well, obviously, I'll just give that talk in the Rump session. Remember, Rump sessions are about cryptology, so you need to stop that. In other words, you need to kick people off stage if they run over time. Historically, I remember quite vividly various means of doing this that often involve noise-making devices. For example, vuvuzelas, a Chinese gong that featured at Chess 2018, electric guitars, and not noise making, but extremely efficient at Chess 2011, a ninja. Now, we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to mute people. After all, we're in a hybrid setting here, so we have that power. Now, you would think that's it. But at AsiaCrypt 2018 in Brisbane, Australia, Craig Costello, Leo Ducat, and Pierre Karpman revolutionized the operational procedures of Rump sessions. What they did is they introduced a method for speakers to buy extra time. How did that work? Well, speakers either had to eat a spoon of Vegemite, or they had to drink a bottle of this terrible Australian beer, Bottoms Up. It turns out that Vegemite is pretty hard to get in Croatia, and we would certainly not want to impose Australian beer on our speakers. So we slightly adapted that method, and we have Slivovica. So to all of the speakers in the Rump session, and in particular those who already remarked that they will need more time, you see here lined up shots of Slivovica, and whenever you're running out of time, simply drink one of those and you get 30 seconds extra. So with this, there's only two procedural things for me to tell everyone. One is, please keep an eye, if you're a speaker, please keep an eye on the program. And if you're up next, already come here so that we don't have to wait too much between talks. We concatenated all PDFs, so we can just basically go through. There shouldn't be much delay in between. Do we have to order the shots in advance, or do you bring the shots? There's 20 shots lined up. Once those are gone, we will resupply. All right. The other remark is, and that is important for the remote speakers, we won't have remote speakers share their screen. You should only unmute yourself and maybe share your video, but we will advance your slides. They're in the same deck with all the other slides. So I will be standing here in the front and advance slides. When you say next slide, I will go to the next slide. So with this, I would like to conclude this introduction to the Rump session and wish you all a pleasant Rump session. The first talk up is actually one of the remote talks. And, oh, thank you very much. I get BRC. This is the great part of being a Rump session chair. So, Craig, could we try this? Could you unmute yourself and ideally also share your video, although we don't see this here?
Can you see me, Peter?
We can hear you.
You can hear me but not see me?
We can see you.
Now we can also see you. Awesome.
Nice.
Great. So, Craig, you're up. I'll advance your slides.
And what can I drink to buy more time?
Well, yeah, so of course the Slivovic shots are only available to local speakers.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you, Peter. Okay, so as I'm sure you all know, the super singular computational Diffie-Hellman problem is by far the strongest and hardest problem in all of public key crypto. It's been around for over 10 years now, and there's been zero progress in cryptanalyzing it. So much so that the original versions of the problems that were proposed actually turned out to be stronger than the initial authors said. And so that's why what we've had to do to create some challenges for these problems is to create some mini toy instances and to put up some big cash bounties on them with thanks to the Microsoft bug bounty team. So we've posted two problems, a $5,000 problem for Psych P182 and a $50,000 problem for Psych P217. And those were posted at the NIST conference back in June or July. And turns out that the $5,000 problem has already been solved. Can you go to the next slide, Peter? So I'm here today to congratulate, press the next slide again, Peter. Alexei Udovenko from Crypto Experts in Paris and Giuseppe Vito from the University of Luxembourg. They both submitted a solution to the challenge Psych P182, a correct solution, on a Saturday, August 28th, 2021. So ideally, I would have been there with a briefcase full of cash, well, maybe full of $1 notes or pennies. But since I can't be there, and we're going to have to probably transfer the money in the boring kind of wired fashion, I believe the Rump session chairs have a placeholder gift there.
So yeah, could you please, Alexei and Giuseppe, could you please come to the front to get a placeholder gift if you're here? Otherwise, we save a placeholder gift.
I think at least one of the two cryptanalysts are there in person.
Apparently, they're not here, Craig. We have to drink more Slivovica.
Okay, neither of them are there. Well,
so if any one of you knows where they are, they can still come here to the Rump session chairs and get their placeholder gifts.
they've got a placeholder gift sitting at the top there, and they've got a deck of Cards Against Cryptography. I've asked the inventors of that game to kindly share 2 decks. They're going to both get a deck of Cards Against Cryptography in the mail, and they'll be wired their money in due time. But I want to congratulate the 2 cryptanalysts again and ask them and everybody else to, Peter, next slide, please, to take a look at the 2 URLs on this slide. There's still $50,000 up for grabs for the bigger version.
All right. I guess that kind of ends Craig's talk. So, Craig, you just froze and lost audio. So I think we will advance to the next talk. I think your time was over anyway, and you didn't have shots to drink. So that brings us to the talk by Raghvendra. And that is also a remote talk. So could you please unmute yourself? And
can you see me? Can you see and hear me? Yeah. Oh.
We see you
yeah.
and we
So
hear you.
okay. Yeah, that's great. So I will present some of our recent cryptanalysis results on the speedy block cipher. So this is an ongoing work with Santanu Sarkar. So could you please go to next slide? Next slide, please. Yeah, so speed is like an ultra latency block cipher which was recently proposed by Leander, Moose, Moradi, and Rasul Jada in CHESS 2021. Yeah, I think, yeah, so you can go to next slide again. Yeah, so if you look, so here the block size and key size are 192 bits, and so the R round cipher is basically described in this figure. So first R minus 2 rounds follows something like a description on the left side of the figure, and the last R minus round is where you omit the mixed columns layer. So here only the nonlinear operation is a 6-bit operation, 6-bit S box, and the rest other like shift columns and mixed columns are linear operation. So can you go to next slide? Yeah, okay. So yeah, in terms of speedy variants and security claims, so the designers have proposed 3 variants, so with rounds 5, 6, and 7. And for practical applications, they propose like they consider the security claim as like your data should be at most 2 to the power 64 and time at least 2 to the power 128. While for 6 round, they say like it achieves at most 128-bit security, but for 7 rounds at 192-bit security. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, however, in their design, in their paper, they did not provide any distinguishers and exit key recovery attacks. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, so here what we did, we analyzed the 2 rounds of speeding. So the 2 complete full rounds, which are shown in the red, and we found like 2 distinguishers, one with data complexity 2 to the power 14 and another with data complexity 2 to the power 13. So if you see like the entire 2 rounds has like 4 passes of SBox, but still we found like the distinguishers with very low data complexity. So can you go to next slide? Yeah, so the distinguishers are very like fairly simple. So you choose 4 different SBoxes, which are shown. You choose like some 14 cube variables in 4 distinct SBoxes, which are given there, and then you find that after 2 full rounds, the XOR sum in registers 1, 2, and 3 is always 0 with probability 1. So this is one of the distinguisher. The next distinguisher works with data complex 2 to the power 30. Here it's something strange. So if you remove one cube variable, then you find that the super polys at 3 indices are always equal. So that's something weird. So this means a part of the Boolean function is always equal after 2 rounds. Can you go to next slide? Yeah, so these 2 rounds can be directly extended to 3-round key recovery attacks. So all the key recovery attacks are practical and they work for all 3 variants of SPD. And if you just remove the pre-whitening key, then it can be trivially extended to 4 rounds. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next talk is given by Muhammad Usama Sadar. So it's also a remote talk. Afterwards, we will be resuming to more in-person talks. So, there you are. Okay. So
do you hear
Muhammad,
me and
the stage
see
is
me?
yours.
Do you hear and see me as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. Right,
go.
so welcome everyone. Okay, so do you hear me, right, Peter?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, perfect. So I assume everything is well on the other side as well. Okay, so this talk is about confidential computing and its relation to other techniques in the domain of data protection in use. And I already see that the slides are messed up. Okay, so the first thing here is the unique definition claim, and there were 2 episodes before this in which I described some of the flaws in the CCC white paper. And the claim here basically is that unlike the term confidential computing, several of the terms used in the diagram have multiple competing definitions. And what these terms are, I have in the diagram, but I see
Up a little bit, it's very hard to hear you.
Okay, now do you hear me?
Bit better.
Okay, so the definition in one of the white papers by Confidential Computing Consortium is based on hardware-based trusted execution environments. And we see in the figure there at the bottom that consists of an oval for trusted execution environments, which is constituting the definition. And specifically in another white paper where Confidential Computing Consortium claims that the definition is unique, is basically already contradicted, where they say that it's only the programmable region of the hardware-based trusted execution environment where confidential computing lies. So this is really a contradiction in itself, apart from the other things. And this really falsifies all the claim. And the other definitions, other things that we see in the figure, if you go back, please, Peter.
All right, it was a bit hard to hear you here, so I advanced the slides somewhat randomly. Okay, I hope that was all right.
Please go back to
also Andy, who's running the stopwatch, is indicating to me that your time is actually over. So I'm afraid we can't continue with this talk. We have to move over to the next talk.
Sure.
Which coincidentally is a talk that I will be giving. And the talk is about Real World Crypto 2022 in Amsterdam. So obviously people here seem to be enjoying hybrid conferences, and in particular, they seem to be enjoying the in-person part of hybrid conferences. So I am very happy to announce that Real World Crypto 2022 will be happening again as a hybrid event, most importantly with an in-person component in Amsterdam. So what can I say about Real World Crypto 2022? So the registration we're hoping to open in late October, and the notification of the speakers is in 1st of November So I'm actually expecting that the program should be online sometime early November. For those of you who have been to Chess 2018, it's going to be the same venue. So for the more senior people here, it's an amazing venue. It's an old, very beautiful building, 5-minute walk from the train station. There might be co-located events. So maybe don't book your travel quite yet, except if you're very flexible in traveling to Amsterdam by car or something, then I think it should be safe to do this. For the first time in the history of real world crypto, there will be an early bird registration deadline. We kind of need this just to make sure that we know how many people are going to be around. And most likely the early bird registration deadline is going to be on December 15. And finally, there's going to be student stipends. So if you're interested in attending, but you don't have that much funding, you might want to check online. And I think the deadline is 31st of October, something like that. You find it online. And while I'm mentioning online, the website of the conference is iscr.org, rwc.iscr.org/2022. Thank you for your attention. And we will now have a 10-minute break. So that means until, 10 minutes is really hard to calculate now, until 28 past, let's say, to just refill drinks and be back in the room. So see you in a moment.